On the latest episode of High Low, host Emily Ratajkowski is talking to a former sex worker, Mia Khalifa. In case you guys don't know who she is, she's actually been very interesting. Mia Khalifa was a younger porn star, and she essentially said that she only did X amount of videos. I'm making up a number here, but it was very few. It was like 12.
That's okay then. Oh, that's okay. It was very few. It was only 12. Alhamdulillah.
And it completely ruined her life, and she made no money from it whatsoever. And she
completely ruined her life. It only made her 20 million plus followers on Instagram, and however many sponsorship deals off the back of that, because the scenes were so absurd. Not that I've seen them, but I've heard of them. A hijabi doing porn scenes. Extremely unique at the time, which I've heard it's become quite a fetish now in the porn world.
She's kind of been using her platform since to talk about how horrible the porn industry is and how women are suffering under it. That doesn't even make economic sense for the majority.
Women, alright, listen, yeah, I don't know where this is going. Candace Owens, her content, I haven't watched much of it. But so what are you talking about? The women are suffering. No, they are voluntarily signing up for this thing, whatever it is, off of their own accord. Nobody's holding a gun to their head because they don't want to work at McDonald's. They want to make that fast money. Even if it's not as great as it was touted to be, they have chosen that route for themselves. What's all of this sympathy? And no, bruv, you made your bed, now lie in it.
A lot of them are unwitting participants. So I actually deeply respect her for talking about this topic, where most people just sort of dismiss porn stars. But Mia Khalifa is appearing on this podcast with Emily Ratajkowski.
Deeply respect and porn stars cannot go in the same sentence. I am mad confused right now.
And the two of them are talking about men dating younger women, or people in general that are dating with a wide age gap. And the opinion that Mia Khalifa expressed and that Emily Rada was in accordance with has upset the internet. So I will let you take a listen to that right now.
Any guy who goes after a girl significantly younger than them is severely lacking in their life. And I mean that confidence-wise. I mean, like, they are falling short in so many places that is the only place they can turn to feel like they have something on the scale of power.
And ultimately it's predatory.
It's so interesting that the only women you will hear talking like this, the only women who will tell you that a man has something severely lacking in his life if he has an affinity towards young women are older women. You never once heard that come out from a 21-year-old who's in the prime of her life and doesn't mind the idea of getting with an older man who's not only more mature but has a bit more money to his name. You never heard it come out of her mouth. You only hear it from these older courtesans who are realizing that, oh crap, I don't have as much of a pull on men as I once used to. What should I do to try and regain that power that I have now seemingly lost? I know! Resort to the feminine classic of shaming tactics. Shaming tactics. You are a pervert for wanting younger woman. You are something wrong with you. You should want my old crusty body. What is wrong with you? Why you want nice, young, tight, fertile, feminine, smooth looking young woman? You should want old, crusty, used up Grand Canyon Shisma. Why not? What's wrong with this? Safe, bruv. Safe.
Because you're manipulating someone who is not aware of what they're giving you. Yeah. And it's unfair.
You're manipulating someone who's just not aware of what they're giving you. I like how women like this, these older women, these Grand Canyon women, they love to make this false relationship between youth and manipulation, as though all of these slightly older men who are in their 30s plus, who have an affinity towards women in their 20s, are manipulative beings. I've explained this before and I'll explain it again briefly because it's boring at this point. But even companies have an age discrimination for their employees. I remember when I was turning 23 or 24, my dad said to me, Mahdi, you should consider signing up to become a pilot for BA, British Airways. I said, where did that come from? He said, well, because the age cutoff is 25. I don't know if it's still the case now to become a pilot. Back then, the age cutoff to learn how to become a pilot was 25 years old. Age cutoff. Age discrimination. Why do you think that is? Well, there's a number of reasons. But one of those reasons is that younger people are more easily taught. They are more malleable to learn whatever it is you want them to learn. Now, if I'm a company and I want to run my company in the way that I know it runs best, guess what? I'm going to want individuals who will be best able to learn. If that means that such an individual is of the young sort, then so be it. If it was the case that old people are more open to learning and more malleable, then that's what I would go for. But the market has shown that it is younger people who are more easy to teach. They come with less baggage, less experience, or so they think, and therefore are easier to bring on board to however it is you want to run your company. Now, if I am a man and there can only be one CEO, one general, one president, one prime minister, one king. I am the man, I am about to be a husband, therefore someone's got to lead this relationship. And the way a relationship runs best is when the man is leading it. Therefore, that makes me the CEO, the prime minister, the president, the king, the whatever you want to call it. Guess what? If I'm going to bring someone into my life on a full-time basis, and I want her to be the mother of my children, and, you know, we live together, blah, 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 the rest of it, and I want her to slide into my frame and do things my way, the way that I know this company runs best, well, experience has shown that younger women are more malleable and easier to coach in that regard than older women. But of course, these Grand Canyon hoes have got something else to say because they're losing leverage in the sexual marketplace.
So I don't entirely disagree with the conversation that they're having. The first thing that I'll say is I think that Mia is coming from this genuinely, where she has seen the insides of an industry where a lot of young women are being...
I think she's seen a lot of insides, but we won't go there. Let's carry on.
...taken advantage of, and she's giving her opinion that men in power tend to go after really young women. Emily Ratajkowski is dealing with her divorce. We know that Sebastian Baer cheated on her, probably with a younger woman, so she's nodding her head and agreeing, not because she has a thoughtful opinion, but because she wants to believe that her husband is a monster and not just that they were in a very dysfunctional relationship. But on the topic of people dating with really big age gaps, I think there's probably a little more nuance. I find it problematic, and I do think that it probably does remark on confidence and a power structure. When you have a person like Scott Disick, you know, he's a part of the Kardashian clan, Kourtney Kardashian's baby daddy, he makes me uncomfortable. He does. I find it very weird that he waits for young women to turn 18, and the moment that they turn 18, he dates them. He did this with Sophia Richie, and he's had a slew of other women who he's dated that literally the day they turn 18, suddenly Scott Disick is dating them as if he was waiting for their birthday to go off, and then it doesn't make sense. Like, what does a 40-year-old man, he's 40, have in common, or what is he even discussing with an 18-year-old girl? It doesn't make sense. I'm 33. And the idea of me going on a date with an 18-year-old boy, and I say boy because that is how I would feel about an 18-year-old boy, it just doesn't make sense. And the idea that she's 18, but she's so mature and has experience, I'm not really buying into that. I think...
All right, this is where... First, there's so many mistakes here. First of all, I'm a bit disappointed in you, Candace. You should know better than this, all right? False equivalency. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. Just because it turns you off doesn't mean it turns us off. Just because it's a turn on for you or a tick box for you doesn't mean it's a tick box for us. Just because you want a man of a higher status and who earns more than you doesn't mean we want women of high status and who earn more than us. Just because you want a man who's taller than you and stronger than you doesn't mean we want a woman who's taller than us and stronger than us. Just because you want somebody who is as experienced, if not more experienced than you, doesn't mean we want someone who's as experienced or more experienced than us. This is so basic, it's getting boring. Maybe it's because I've done over 400 videos now talking about this crap that I'm bored out of my brains going over the same damn thing over and over. But coming from someone who is considered quite conservative leaning in the form of Candace Owens, this is just disappointing. Bruv, what are we talking about? This is so basic.
I think it's problematic when you're dating people that are closer in age to your son, Miss Mason Disick, who I think is 12 or something like that, than they are to you. So I do think that is a power thing, it is a confidence thing, and there's something that just creeps me out about it. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. It's creepy. I thought very creepy when Celine Dion married that old man named Renee. I mean, she was 14 when he was hitting on her. I think that she's a victim. I know, because I was 18 at one point, a girl's mind is just not fully developed when she's 18 years old. She is, for lack of a better word, a child. And things are a little different. I mean...
Ooh, Candace, you fell off hard here. No, she is not a child, okay? Not even a man is a child at 18. Although I will say that a man is at a lower level of maturity at the age of 18 than a female who is at the equivalent age. She is more advanced than him. And a woman's brain matures at around the age of 20 in its development, its physical development. Whereas a man's brain fully matures at around the age of 30 in terms of its physical development. So we are on different timescales already as it is. If you want to look at like for like maturity, then it would make sense for a 30-year-old man to be with a 20-year-old. But this is the bottom line, okay? The reason why it freaks and creeps you ladies out is because it scares the shit out of you that you're going to get past late 20s, 30s, and then beyond, and suddenly you can no longer compete for a man who is about to enter his prime. Because men don't typically enter their prime until mid to late 30s and sometimes 40s and beyond. All right, his working prime, his earning prime, and so on. Generally speaking, never mind the anomalies that you see online, the Andrew Tates of the world and whatever. Those guys are anomalies. Generally speaking, you're looking at late 30s and probably beyond that, 40s. So these Grand Canyon hoes, they want to make sure that they still have access to these men who are just about to come into their prime while she has just come out of her prime. And the mistake you women are making is thinking we want the same things you want. No, we don't. But I will tell you this, there is an advantage to getting with a woman who is older and has a little more experience. And it's funny because this advantage, it is also a disadvantage if you go into the relationship with a different mindset or with a different lens. But what makes her a disadvantage also makes her an advantage. The disadvantage of getting with an older woman, a woman who's, you know, past her prime, maybe she's been married once or twice before, she's got a couple of kids and so on, is that it's going to be difficult for her to pair bond with you. Therefore, if you take her on as a full-time wife and you want to make a family and so on, you're better off doing that with a younger girl, because this older one here, she's like a sticker. First time you put a sticker on the wall, it sticks really well. Take the sticker off the wall, divorce, and now that sticker doesn't have as much stick. Put it on the wall a second time. It will stick, but not as well as it stuck the first time. Take it off a third time. Oh, now that stickiness is really gone. Put it back on the wall again for a third time, and you'll see that that stickiness is nowhere near as effective as it was the first time you stuck it. Such is the parable for virgins and divorcees. Virgins are more sticky. Younger girls, specifically young women, virgin women, are more sticky, more able to pair bond with you, and thus more likely to make the relationship work than women who have been in failed relationships. However, this stickiness can be a nuisance if it doesn't suit you, if it's not convenient for you as a man. No strings nikah. No strings nikah is suitable for a specific demographic of men and women who are looking for a specific type of marriage setup. If you are a woman who's been married a couple of times before, a full-time marriage might not be something that you're looking for. If you're a man who's extremely busy, he's got a lot going on and hardly any time for women, for multiple women, never mind. One woman is enough, he's struggling giving her time, but multiple women, it's impossible to think of. This can be a suitable arrangement. Getting with a non-sticky woman is actually better in this regard if you can manage your emotions, manage your expectations going into the relationship. So it's funny because the very thing that makes these women who've had prior relationship experience and are older a disadvantage actually becomes an advantage from a no strings nikah perspective. Do you like how I plugged that?
I mean, those years are very significant. The difference between even an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old is astounding. There's a lot more life experience that goes into that period because obviously you're leaving your household when you're 18. If you're going to college, that is, you're going to university, you have a little more life experience. You're not living under your parents' protection. So I do agree that it can sometimes be weird, but there are also people that have age gaps and they're completely irrelevant. I think if you're talking just about really young women, there are definitely questions to be asked about what the man is looking for in that relationship. Now, saying all of that, I also want to say that it's not weird that men like younger women. So if you're talking about a 65-year-old man and he's gone after a 26-year-old younger woman, it's like that age gap, okay, it is stupid. We know why he's with her. It's because she's hot and she's young. And men like hot girls, like I like good food. So let's not problematize the fact that an older man would prefer a girl that's better looking. You would hope that he would have the emotional maturity to stay with somebody and to grow into old age and to still see those beauties. And I think that a spiritual connection is so much more important than a physical connection for those very reasons.
I mean, she's about to waffle now, but at least she's acknowledging a reality then, that regardless of a man's age, he has an affinity towards younger women. It seems to be that she has an issue with the specific age of 18, which I don't even really know why, because let me tell you something categorically. If the legal age was not 18 and it was less than that, these men would go for less than that. They would go for less than that. It just so happens to be that 18 is the legal age in most Western countries of the world. In certain states in America, a woman could get married as young as 13 years old, up until very recently. 13. Trust and believe that many men would absolutely take that. Because if she looks like she's 20, then who cares what her age is? You know how hard it is to tell a woman's age just by looking at her? How do you think so many of these girls get access into clubs? 13, 14, 15. They're getting access into clubs 18, 19, 20, 21. You can't tell the difference without ID. Why do you think ID is a requirement? It's a requirement because we can't tell, bro. Which means if we can't tell, her age is not registering. We're not looking at her and thinking, ooh, 13. We're looking at her and thinking, ooh, a beautiful woman. She must be 18, 19, 20, 21. The age is just literally just a number. As you ladies like to say all the time, age is just a number. I'm 53,562. Yes, Habibti, age is just a number. It's called 18.
Reasons. Is he the best guy? No. Is it understandable why a guy might like a younger woman with a larger age gap between the two of them? Absolutely. So you can give me your comments and yell at me and disagree, but that's my stance on the discussion. that they had.
You know, I'm going to conclude this reaction with the following. And pay attention, gentlemen. If you've made it this far, then you might as well watch for another 30 seconds because it's very important. It is very important that you approach an interaction with a woman with a healthy level of distrust. A healthy level of distrust. Because they can be quite disingenuous at best, outright manipulative at worst. This is why this side of the internet exists in the first place. Always approach your interactions with women, especially if you're looking at it from a romantic point of view, with a healthy level of distrust.